you playing this guy that I think his name is he called himself Tuss Jr.
Yeah.
And I just remember a part where I don't think he realized he was in the moment, because as you put it on him, all you see is this big smile on his face. I think he forgot he was playing basketball for a moment. Do you recall that moment?
I recall that moment because Mr. Pingleton had already, you know how he gas you up, right?
Yeah.
I got these two kids, I get these, they best ever, so he had me like, all right, okay, well, let me see, And knowing that both of y'all was from the West Side, I'm like, I hope you ready. Because in my mind, yeah, you may be 14, but right now, you Michael Jordan. I'm playing against you like I'm playing against Michael Jordan.
Well, I never thought that I would be seeing my idol and then playing against him. So I'm just so enamored in the stands listening to Zeke talk. I'm just like this in a daze, just like hanging on every word. Like he talking about, bouncing the ball. Then they said we're gonna pick some kids to come out here and play, not knowing that Steve James them had already hooked it up to like, yo, we got to get Arthur to play Isiah. Yeah. So I don't know this. I come out, they was like, you. I'm like, oh shit. So my smile just go on like I'm standing right in front of him right now. He got his Detroit Pistons stuff on. I'm just like study smiling. So I'm just like, I can't play no damn ball right now, but I'm gonna try. So he looking at me, Will, in my face too, like,
oh yes.
How you doing, son? He's like, you ready? He's like, all right, now I ain't gonna take it easy on you. He gave me one pump fake. I jumped out my damn draw.
He
go past me.
He leaned into
He's looking
you.
at me too. Hey, he turned back and looked like that. What's up? You gonna catch up to me? Like, what's up? We lay this motherfucker on you.
All I know, that was the fastest 3 and out I had ever seen in all of them camps.
I'm talking about, I shot one time, that was it.
He didn't even play with you.
I shot one time, it was it, Will.
And right after that, he played the other kids in that game. I mean, Isiah was just throwing it up. He's like, who are these little kids I'm out here playing? But boy, when you stepped up there, Zeke was like,
Yeah, because I'm
finna give you.
I remember what I did to Eddie Jones, and I was like, oh, nah, I ain't gonna be in that position where I got to play bully ball to win.
Right. And I figured you had it in your head, Zeke, like I'm not finna let none of these little kids think they can score nothing. Like, I'm finna do it to them.
Nah, yeah, absolutely. And yes, absolutely. You are not getting ready to go home and say,
Zeke said, you ain't going home and be like, man, you won't believe who I scored on the day. He's like, that will not be the story.
When I got home to on Jackson by Delano Playground, I ran straight to the playground to tell everybody, like, dude, guess who I just played? Like, yeah, we played one-on-one. I hold my own line. They was like, man, Isiah Thomas, bust your ass. Like, you ain't gonna let you. I'm like, for real, I just played against him, man. Like, I scored and everything. Lying like a motherfucker.
That's why I'm like, I ain't gonna let you win. Because just imagine if you wouldn't have had to lie and you'd have been that you beat me.
Right.
Oh, man.
I'm going to tell you this. If that would have happened, this would have been a different interview.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
Man, Zeke, we so excited right now. Boy, this has been a long time in the making. This is kind of like the culmination of everything. Talking about Hoop Dreams full circle right now. It's like, what? We got Isiah Thomas. Yep. Let me correct that. We got Isiah Lord Thomas on the show today. So Zeke, we gonna jump right into it, man. Today, we got not only just a legend, special in every meaning of the word. He's a Chicago legend, St. Joe's Hall of Fame, Indiana Hall of Fame, NBA Hall of Fame, two-time NBA champ with the Detroit Pistons. NBA Finals MVP, 12 times. You hear me? 12-time NBA All-Star. And I'm a personal witness to seeing one of those All-Star Game MVPs at St. Joseph High School.
Yes.
NCAA champ with the Indiana Hoosiers. A McDonald's All-American. He was named one of the NBA's top 50 and top 75. But we gonna say top 50 because he's really top 10. But we gonna keep that where it's at.
Yeah.
His number hangs everywhere he has played. From high school to college to the NBA. It is in the Raptors. And I'm gonna tell you all right now, I can just keep going on and on and on about his legacy. So we would never get to the show. But I want to welcome today the man who's given us all our hoop dreams. He was the leader. He was the path maker. He birthed the dream for my generation and generations to come. The one and only Mr. Isiah Lord Thomas. I'm Will Gates, and that's my dog.
Arthur Agee. Welcome to the show, Zeke.
I'm honored to be here on your show. And not only am I honored to be on your show, but the most important thing that you left out when you introduced me, I'm from the west side of Chicago.
That's
Chicago,
right,
baby.
That's right. That's right.
I always let it be known that I'm from the west side of Chicago. And you can go back and you can look, throughout the history, in my interviews, because what we had to go through and what we grew up in our daily struggle. And I've traveled all, around the United States, different the way we grew up and the missed meals that we had to go through on a daily. But still, our mom and dad had to figure out a way to get us through, So congratulations to you two gentlemen for making it.
Man, gosh, this is just like seriously, man. I hate to, I'm starstruck. Even though I know you, I'm starstruck. I'm just like, man, this is because one thing, Zeke, I've always appreciated about you is that you never forgot. I ever remember when you came back for Ping winning, breaking records, and you looked at me and said, man, I'm so glad to see you. I mean, it's like, it's like, what? I'm glad to see you. What do you mean? You're glad to see me. But you have always been there. But we can go on forever. But let me do this. I want to do this first before we get into the show. You talked about a little bit earlier about our moms. Mama Agee, Mama Gates. But man, I want to take a moment right now to talk about Mama Mary Thomas. Can you just tell our audience who Mama Mary Thomas was, the inspiration? How did she help you with the dream? Everything. Can you just give our people, man, who your mama was? And the real Mama Mary Thomas, too.
The real one?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Not Alfred Woodard, the one who played in the film.
Well, Mary Thomas is a street named after my mom on Holman and Jackson. And actually, I was born right there on Holman and Jackson. And, the most unique thing about, my mom during that period of time was that, she held it down on the streets, for all of us. She worked with Fred Hampton, with the Black Panthers, right there on Madison and Western. Madison and Kedzie, 10 South Kedzie. I think that's what we call it, 10 South Kedzie, right?
Yep.
Right across the street, there was the food corner. There was the food line where you had to stand in line, to get your food, every morning and after school. But then most importantly, the first original game, in the United States, the Vice Lords. And then at that time, you had the, they were called the Mad Black Souls at that time. And then they branched off into, Disciples, Latin Kings, so forth and so on. But my mom had a way of not only working with the gangs, but also talking with them, and then sometimes taking the rent money and bonding some of them out of jail. Uh, and we didn't know any of this growing up. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I used to walk from the boys club from Sacramento and Washington. And at that
Yep.
time, you know, we had moved to Menard and Adams. And I would walk, think about this, I would walk 9 p.m. at night from Sacramento and Washington to Menard and Adams, and when nobody bothered me.
Really?
And the only thing, you know, and any time I ran into any type of situation, it wasn't that, you know, I was, oh, that's Tuss or that's Junior or that's Isiah. It was always, oh, that's Miss Thomas' son. And it just came out. That's how powerful she was on the West Side. You know, the 33 Congress when Martin Luther King moved into the neighborhood right off of Hamlin. And my mom marched with Martin Luther King, you know, Will Arthur. We didn't have no babysitters at that time, so she took everything.
Right.
So you know, we got a chance to, you know, see her with MLK. And if you notice on the west side of Chicago, Will, I said this to you the other day. On the west side of Chicago, the only Malcolm X college in the United States of America that I know of is on the west side
of Chicago.
You know, on the west side of Chicago. So when you look at what Chicago was all about, and then you had, you know, Moorish Americans, Noble Drew Ali, all of that knowledge there on the west side of Chicago that is still there, that all moms and dads had to fight through. You know, that's what it's all about. And, you know, we talk about our moms, but I'm also going to give a shout out to y'all dads and to my dad also. You have no idea what those men and young boys were going through in this United States of America. You know, we had food stamps, we had the green card, and you know, I never forget, you know, my mom making sure that we understood that, and she said this, that the United States government broke up her marriage because we had to get on welfare. And if you remember, the man couldn't be in the house. And so whenever the social worker would come to the house, I remember my father having to run and
wow.
And you know how humiliating that had to be now that we grown.
Absolutely.
Now, Zeke, I know your mom, I mean, our audience don't understand how big of a figure she was in your life. They made a TV movie about the Mary Thomas story. And I remember I actually auditioned to be young Isiah in that film. And on Jackson at the court, right there at the Marillac house. And I went down there for my audition and everything. I didn't get the part. They chose some other kid. I went home crying. But did Mary Thomas express what you had to fight through to get that there was something better out there from what you saw in your community? Did she preach that education and that you could do it?
Yeah, she preached it. My dad preached it. But as you two know, more importantly, unity. So everywhere we went, go left, don't go right. Walk down this path. So while it was being preached at home, you know, it was being reinforced, believe it or not, out on the streets with, you know, with everybody that we bumped into. They was talking about how system really is set up against you. And these are pitfalls, right? Don't fall into these same traps that we have fell into. Young blood, do something different. You got a chance to make it. Now, how can you make it? It was real simple. And at that time, we was like, they said, all you got to do is go to school, do your homework, and stay out of trouble.
Stay out of trouble. Them three things? Jesus.
Right. It's like, nah, man, it can't be that easy, right?
Right.
It's like, nah, you know, just go to school, Do you do your homework and stay out of trouble? Now, before the age of 14, and again, this is where I talk about the West Side,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and all of you can understand what I'm getting ready to say. Now, when I say this to someone on the outside, they don't get it. But before the age of 14, I went to 3 different grade schools and moved 8 times.
Wow.
Before the age of 14.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before the age of 14.
So I went to Our Lady of Sorrows. I went to DePriest. I actually went to 4 grade schools. Went to Our Lady of Sorrows, went to DePriest, to St. Catherine, then Resurrection.
Wow.
4 grade schools and moved 8 times before I got to.
Wow.
And to get to St. Joe's, y'all know that travel we had to take every morning to go to school. Now you tell somebody it took you 2.5 hours to get to school. And then when you got off the bus, you had to walk to get to school. They like, wait, you have to be on time.
Yes,
Every single day, man. So, hey, man, I'm going to reach to this camera. I'm going to hug both of y'all. And I'm proud of you two dudes. Because all this basketball stuff they talking about, that ain't really what it was all about.
No.
To know us. But, hey, man, your mom and dad story, your pop story, you know, all our heartbreak stories, you know, with our brothers being on drugs and alcohol and, you know, dying and all that. Hey, man, that was real. That's every day. And then you had to go to school and do it.
Yes. 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 And don't forget, get beat up by coach after you.
You go get cursed out every now and then, right?
Yes.
You know, it took me maybe my second year in the pros. I finally got up enough nerve, you know. Remember you like you what man, what is that? What you saying, you know? you know? And then I would ask him this question. Remember he would drive us like to the bus stop or to the train station. But he always leaned the wrong way. Normally, you know, you lean like this. But man, he was leaning this way.
Yes.
Like, dude, what you do?
He in the hood with a caddy.
But then, you know, and then the more I got to know him, right? He from the West Side.
Yep.
Went to Providence St.
Mel's.
I'm like, wow. So just mind-blowing moments, you know, all the time, you know, just how interconnected we all were. And, you know, what they call gangs, you know, having a fight or whatever. We got through all of that. So, you know, it's a time in my life that I look back on with a lot of love, a lot of care, and thankfulness. And I don't, you know, even though a lot of bad things happened to us, you know, growing up on the side of Chicago, I mean, really bad things that we can talk about, right? Or don't want to visit. But you look back and you say, you know what? Somehow we made it.
Yes.
I was really skeptical. But man, when I saw you in that trophy case, I was like, oh yeah, this is where I'm going. I'm like, so they already reeled me in with that. But I want to ask you, because you was a part of the movie just as much as anybody, but I never asked you your thoughts about the movie.
Yeah.
What did you think about Hoop Dreams?
And how did they approach you?
So they approached me about, you know, just, you know, doing a documentary, you know, on Mr. Pingatore, St. Joe's, and y'all coming to school there. You know us, right? I'm like, I don't even know what a documentary is.
Right. Wasn't even popular.
Yeah. You know, whatever. And so, you know, I was coming through and I never forget, you know, just watching it. how it played out on camera, us getting to meet each other, play one-on-one and everything else, doing like a regular camp.
Yeah.
No idea the impact you two in this movie will have, for generations. And and when you ask me, like, what did I think of the movie? Well, I thought it accurately told, both of y'all's stories.
Mm-hmm.
Going to a Catholic school, they all about their tuition. They're about their money.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you can't. And I had to figure out a way, and this is why I say I was fortunate. Couldn't afford to go to St. Joe. Y'all went on, y'all may have had full scholarship. Mine was partial, right? So I had to work in the kitchen. I had to work with, Miss Casselzak. And then I had, unbeknownst to me, I found out later that one of them families in Westchester was paying half my tuition.
Wow.
Now that family and that woman, her name was Mrs. Gable.
Okay.
My mother knew her from way back when at Our Lady of Sorrow. Mrs. Gable lived in Westchester, and somehow she was paying half my tuition to go to St. Joe.
Wow.
Now,
when did you find that out?
I didn't find that out until late in the game when I got into the NBA. Now I'm trying to pay back all my debts, right?
Wow.
Hey, Will, when I got into the NBA, I didn't know I had bad credit. I didn't buy houses in my name. I didn't know that
right?
No, I didn't know I had a criminal record because my brother had been saying that he was
using your name
until I became popular. He couldn't use it no more.
Yes.
I'm sure y'all know. He was like, when you try to get your first credit card, I think you was probably like, wait a minute, I ain't got bad credit.
Yeah. Bo did it. My dad, Bo did it to me.
Yeah. So that was the game. So like I say, we moved. It was 9 of us, 7 boys, 2 girls. Like I say, we moved 8 times.
Yeah.
And she ran out of names.
Wow.
So when I get into the NBA now, I'm trying to clean up, all the debt, all the credit, stuff that I got to do for my brothers, try to get them right, get them into rehab, everything, and try to make sure, like, we trying to come out of poverty because, as you know, all of us, and I'm sure y'all too, we the first generation that has really come out of, like, below poverty.
Below poverty, yeah.
Where, ain't no, you homeless sometimes, you ain't got no food, you just trying to make it. So get to that point where you got food in the refrigerator and you can pay your bills, people think you rich.
Rich, yeah.
And so I was just trying to, clean everything up and, but again, how they portrayed Pingator in St. Joe's, it worked for the story, but at the same time, they didn't let you know how really the Catholic school got down with they.
Yep.
I got pulled even in grade school, man. I can remember, I can remember getting pulled out of class a lot of times.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you say that because a lot of people also with the movie, they think that St. Joe's just gave me this free scholarship.
Yeah.
But Zeke, we were just like you. We was in there taking out the garbage, cleaning the boards. Yep. We had lunchroom duties. We was cleaning the showers. We was doing all, because St. Joe's only had one janitor. And so, so you became the janitors in the school.
About Wednesday night.
Oh, my goodness. You know what's so crazy about that? I used to love Wednesday because I knew practice was going to be over early. But one of the things, man, I wanted to ask you about this because, you know, I had gotten that question a lot too. I always felt like I was in a position where I had to defend Coach because I kept telling people, you guys don't understand. It wasn't that Coach didn't like Arthur and his family or that he liked Will and his family more. Some things was just out of his control. But one thing I've always respected about Coach was he always tried to make things work out. So my situation was very much like yours. A woman named Miss Weir paid a portion of my tuition, and the program in my neighborhood paid the other portion of my scholarship. So it wasn't like St. Joseph gave me money. People think St. Joe's gave me money. But I was like, no. They were like, well, people can find benefactors. If they found you one, they could find somebody else one. But I always felt like I had to explain that. Did you find that a lot throughout Hoop Dreams, though?
I didn't find it as much as you two probably did, because you probably got approached more with it. You know, I was getting more approached with, that in the situation, in the NBA. But I would say that the thing that I had to defend a lot was just the times that Mr. Pingator was in, and then I would switch it and say, he was bringing kids from the west side of Chicago, integrating a white men only school, right? We only had 600 boys that were in the school, and the majority of them were white. Now think about what we were doing and what y'all went through, and now that you're a little older, when they talk about busing and desegregation and all that, that was us.
Yeah.
That was us. And we didn't realize it and process it at the time. But, mine was like the second class behind, Mike Morris and Doug Copeland and Andrew, right? And then my class came after that. And, so all of us, taking that journey from the West Side and then going to St. Joe's and seeing another way of life. And I don't know if this to y'all, when you get off the bus, like your friends will be driving by with their mom and dad. They wave to you.
Yeah.
They wave.
And then when you're you be like, hey man, did you see me walking? Being sane enough to come back home and deal with, the things that we have to deal with. I was talking to Will the other day, and I said, I didn't know that there was such a term that they call code switching, right? Until I learned that in college. I was in a class, in the sociology class, and they talked about code switching, how you speak one way in one place and another in another. I was like, well, yeah, we had to do that every day going to St. Joe.
Yes.
But it was, I liked the way everything turned out. It was some rough spots in the movie that we had to explain about, St. Joe's Catholic Church, and then I'm just gonna blame it on the Pope. The Pope gonna get his money, man. That's how it goes. You got to pay the Pope.
Yeah, from my standpoint, from the film, it was Mr. Beffer was just cut and dry, straight to the point. So he I'm glad he had cleared it up, because he kind of was like, man, what are y'all talking about? If Arthur Agee went out there and was playing like they thought he would play, economics wouldn't have did nothing. He would have been at St. Joe's. He was like, he's not making it like he was, like they thought he was going to make it on the court. Simple as that. He's not there. And that was it. That was Beffer.
Yeah. Let me tell you about your coach, who coached my brother, Gregory Thomas, at Marshall High School, with Mickey Grant and Marshall. Because I went to a Lady of Stars, and then remember, you probably ain't old enough, but St. Philip's used to be there right next to Our Lady of Sorrow.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Phillips and Marshall, St. Philip's was in the Catholic League, Marshall was in the Public League, and you talking about rivalries after the game. So that Gladys play lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the bus barn.
Yep.
That's where everybody used to meet. So St. Philip's, and then Marshall, Our Lady of Sorrows, but everybody met at the playground. We just called it the playground, Gladys Play Lot.
Yep.
And that's how I got down. And Dorothy Gators, Mr. Bedford, Jim. So there's a James Capers in the NBA who refed. His son Jim Capers.
Okay.
NBA. All them are Marshall grad.
Really?
So Mr. Capers, right? He coached my brother, right? I mean, he was in school with my brother, and Mr. Bedford was coaching my. So when I got into the NBA, this is what Mr. Capers said to me. He said, "Oh shit, another one of them Thomas." So if you look in the NBA right now, so we had Danny Crawford. You know, Danny Crawford was my AAU coach, right?
Yeah, good old Danny, man.
Yeah, so all these guys that Marshall and the West Side touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is you when you talk about Mr. Bedford, right? You know,
Yeah.
when you say he kept it real, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Probably right. You know, now when he say they would have found a way, we don't know who that they was. Like never knew who that person who was taking money out of their pockets saying, I got him.
Mm-hmm.
They never know, you know. So
yeah,
it worked out well for you. You won the state.
Yeah, well, won city, went third place in state. But I could tell you this: I was so hurt that if you know that was the first time that I had felt rejection.
Yeah,
meaning like that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So in my mind, but it also told me is that no, like I wouldn't have been there had they didn't think I was good enough. I think it's just more of so that we didn't have the money to pay because mom was behind like 2 months of tuition payments.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's how I left and was like, okay, well, I'm gonna use that as motivation when I go to this whatever school I go to next. So that's how I looked at it. I never had no ill wills towards St. Joe's, Pingator, or none of that. It was just the circumstances was different for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like, you know, I'm just gonna use it as motivation.
No, and that you know, and the way you looked at it probably was just how it was. You know, again,
yeah.
The Pope want his money now. I'm gonna pray for you and everything, but you got to drop something in here.
Yeah, drop something in the bucket, man.
Absolutely. Zeke, let's talk about some of your battles growing up in the city because I mean you came up in a time where, my goodness, I mean you, Mark Aguirre and others. I mean just a time of just where playground basketball was, and we used to follow that from you guys too, but you all literally went from playground to playground to playground to battle. Tell us about some of these Chicago battles so people can really get a flair for what Chicago basketball is like.
And what it did for your confidence playing on that hardwood in the high school.
Absolutely. Well, I just talked to you about Marshall, Our Lady of Sorrows, St. Philip's, you know, and getting out of school and everybody meeting, you know, at the playground at Gladys Play Lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the games there between, I'm just watching my older brothers, you know, Lord Henry, you know,
mm-hmm.
Larry, you know, all of them just going at it, you know, playing against Mickey, playing against Fatback, playing against, you know, Jake, you know, and, you know, Jake, Tomaine, you know, all them, you know, Jake and Tomaine, they ended up, you know, getting killed at a very young age, you know, gang violence and stuff. But, you know, just watching all them play and then, you know, understanding the way they was teaching us how to play, you know, competing and, you know, taking good shots and playing defense, like really defense. Like you can't let them score, like, and don't take no bad shots. Like, you know, we we trying to win this game. Throw it to him, you know? You know, I mean, that type of pressure every game, you know, was.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you had a shot and you didn't think you can make that shot, oh, you passed it with no problem. You weren't trying to like go through your stuff and people didn't accept it, you know, very rarely. You think about when y'all was growing up now, think about to your playground day.
Yeah.
How many times people really missed?
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
And you had to work hard to get a bucket, man. And
Yep.
so learning that and then, you know, taking that and saying, okay, like I say, we moved 8 times. So I found out at a very young age too, like, look, every time you move, look, I can't be fighting that whole neighborhood. who the toughest guy in the neighborhood? So
Right.
I can either beat his ass or he gonna beat my ass, but I'm right. So now you know, as you moving around, do y'all remember playing at Emmett, you know, on Madison and Central?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Court like slid down on one side.
Yep. It's slow.
When you try to tell people like how the court like sloped down and you would try to force people to that deep corner so they have to shoot that long shot.
Yep.
Or you would try to get on the high side. If you got on the high side, you can take off and maybe like get a dunk on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So just playing all around and then, you know, having the respect of everybody, you know, who watch you.
Yeah.
Because after they saw you competing, you know, very rarely did they want to fight you because the way you had to compete was all fight just to compete. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So once I got into like playing, you know, on glass backboards and hardwood floors,
Ooh.
then I got a uniform.
It's basketball heaven.
What? And they call fouls, like the referee will call fouls for you. Like some real rules to it. It's like, oh, I can do this and ain't nobody gonna be like,
Yes. Yes.
hey man, nah, it be, but you know, the battles of the people that you was playing against, like during that time, and forgive me, you know, if I'm talking too much, because as you can see, I love y'all, and so I just like talking to y'all. So
yes,
and I don't get a chance to have this conversation.
Yep.
Damn near nobody, you know.
Nope.
What we talking about, right?
Yep.
So behind Austin High School, that's when I first met Eddie Johnson. If you remember, Eddie started off at Austin. Eddie,
okay.
Mark Aguirre was at Austin with this guy by the name of Eddie Hughes, Anthony Johnson. And little Eddie Hughes, they called him Roach. Lord mercy.
Why they call him Roach, G?
Man,
why they call him Roach?
You know, because he
I love it. I love it.
Every time I saw Eddie Hughes, man, that dude was going at me so hard. I mean, like you would have thought that we were in the NBA Finals Game 7 every time we played against each other. You know.
Wow.
And so we playing, we going, and then Eddie Johnson show up. Eddie, like, you know, at that time, Eddie was like the hero of the neighborhood. Like when he walked around, I felt like it was music playing. Like the horns was like.
He was that revered in the Austin area.
Oh man, Eddie Johnson was the dude. And so now I'm in 8th grade. So, you know, my cousin, you know, at that time, you know, stayed right there on Pine and right off I think it was Ohio, right? And he always like, you know, he was talking stuff and he's like, Eddie, like, you know, my little nephew, you know, he gonna get you. So Eddie's like, play 1-on-1. Now I'm like, of course, right? You go at him.
Challenge me.
So I'm doing my thing, I'm scoring him, you know, and he score. and score 9-8, I got the ball. No, score 9-9, I got the ball, right? That dude grabbed me, right? Walked me all the way up under the bucket, game.
What?
Yes, that's how they did it.
Win like that. You can't win like that, man. So, man, that's game. Get on with it. I met Eddie Johnson, right? And so I met Mark over at what's that park right off Cicero and Jack?
Clark Park.
No, Clark.
Or Moore Park.
No, Moore is over behind Resurrection. You're right.
Behind Resurrection, right.
Yeah. So I met Mark at Clark Park and then at is it Delano?
Delano, yep.
First and then Delano. So at Clark we playing it, Mark was meals at that time,
So he was finding some food.
Yeah, and so Mark lived in K-Town, right? And I lived right on the outside of it. And so, and my sister lived 4422 right off of Costner and Washington. And so I was over at my sister Dolores' house. Mark lived like right down, I think, Harlaw. And so, they talking about Mark and play. I play. So now we go over to Clark Park. So we go over to Clark and this dude, like, thinking like, I'm fast, I'm quick, I'm gonna go through my shit, and before I know it, man, he had picked me. He had them big hands, and before people was, before it became a move in real life on the West Side, it was like, if you leave that ball behind you, that dude just gonna, and then he gone, right?
Right.
And so Mark had them big claws and I never could get by me, and he was gone with it. And then he started shooting. I'm like, man, this dude kind of good. He, he's fat and everything, but like, this fat dude can
play.
He had moves, and he went to like, doing his thing, and it was kind of like he was like a snake with it. Like, he's like, it was you're looking at this dude, you're like, what is he getting ready to do? And then he had this old wind up shot where he would wind up, what? In the long range. Like, oh, he can play. So, when you find somebody who can play, you're like, okay, well, wait, where you going, man? Where y'all going? So then we go over to Delano. When we go over to Delano, everybody know I'm at Delano. Who is this? And they was calling them draws.
Yep, big draws.
It was called draws. I was like, who the hell is this? And so that's how we met. Now I'm gonna tell you.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you when I started looking at him like, I don't know about this dude. So now at the end, right? You're always trying to find some food. So now, follow him home. you know how we do trying to get that extra meal, right?
Yeah.
So I follow him home. Man, this dude poured out some buttermilk and some cornbread and ate it. I was like, nah. Dude ate buttermilk and cornbread and then drank some of the buttermilk out the carton. Like, this dude is just nasty. I can't mess with you, man.
No.
And
I would have been out of there like,
that's what I did. I was like, all right, I'm gone, man. Mark, hey, man, I see. That was it.
You a little different.
But y'all had I can only imagine when y'all showed up at parks. I can only imagine. Speaking of parks, can you just tell us the playgrounds that you played at throughout high school as well?
Marillac, right? If you couldn't get off at Marillac, then you weren't accepted in the neighborhood.
Wow.
And if you remember, Marillac had that chain fence around it,
Yep.
And inside it was just,
real gritty.
Just gritty, and the court was slippery, and the paint was like, you touched the paint, and so at a later Isiah was then Calhoun, the grade school down there. They didn't like Our Lady of Isiah because we would actually come to Marillac and get some of their food because the nuns, they were
right.
giving you some food. So the people at Calhoun they didn't like us. So whenever we came down there, it was always, a fight to the finish.
Yeah.
And this is where I met Fatback and James Coker. They call him Junebug.
Mm-hmm.
Junebug used to play. He was over at Rockwell. He was in the Rockwell Project.
Mm.
And I saw this dude Fatback, and I had never seen guys dribbling behind their back, and he was just standing in front of you, and you see me do it in the All-Star game.
Uh-huh.
Down, and I dribble behind
yep.
back. Well, Fatback, right? He would come down and he would just stand in front of you and just
what? Like try to take it.
Man, it was mesmerizing. And I'm a little kid. I had never seen nobody like dribble like that, man. And so at Marillac, you would go down there and you would see people, and then so Junebug, they used to call him Six. He had 6 fingers, right? Had extra baby fingers, and so it'd be like you don't want to look at his fingers, but it's like
right. Like that's why you handling that ball like that.
Yeah, man, because he would, and he'd be looking at you and put it back, and you go to reach that, and he'd be like, when you go back, he put it right back there again. But it's like, all guys have style, and so when and I ain't even talking about the guys who made it to the pros.
Right.
Guys who made it to the pros, you talk about Darrell Walker, Craig Hodges, Terry Cummins,
Ricky Henderson,
Ricky Green. Yeah, Ricky Green. Ronnie Lester made it for me. I mean, Chicago during that period of time, everybody was coming to the playground, and you had to hoop. You really had to hoop to stay out on the floor.
Yeah, Zeke, that's what I say. That's missing with these kids now, because when I played at Delano on the playground, and you said like, you had to know who to pass the ball to win the game, because if you didn't win, your ass wasn't getting back on the court for at least 4-5 games. So your bones gonna get tight. You gonna be like, they may get to arguing in one game and be like, damn man, I knew we should have won that game. So, and it was dudes who knew they wasn't better than you. So the only thing they can do is, well, I want to fight this dude. So let me start fouling him hard so I can try to get in his head so they can lose the game. So my whole thing to combat that was, fuck it, I'm gonna just get clothesline me in the air. I'm gonna just get killed, but I ain't gonna retaliate on you though. I'm gonna just talk stuff back to you. Be like, yeah, you thought that was gonna get me, huh? Hit me again. It's just gonna be an and one. So I developed that mentality on the court wherever I went.
Yeah. and that was me.
That was you, see?
That was me. If you see all them guys, Lambeer Mahorn would hit somebody and then hit me.
They look at you.
They look at me and be like, and if you notice all the fights I had in the NBA, they were with big guys. I ain't never fight no little guys.
Yeah.
The big guys always felt like they could hit me. Away with it. I was like, nah, where I'm from, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. But at the same time, we would get in their head too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ain't had a lot of fights, right? I remember I had to fight my nephew Lewis. They used to make us fight like, every week you had to get out on the porch and box. Lewis was
right.
And I'll never forget, man, Lewis hit me in my eye one. and you know how in those cartoons, like you see the little stars going around.
Right.
And if you ain't ever been hit in your eye like that, you don't know, like, the stars really do go around and you get dazed and everything else.
Yeah.
And so, man, if you don't know how to, like they say, you got to take some to give some.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know how to take some, then you're going to lose. And so every time they hit you out on the court, you was like, okay, that's all you got? Well, I was the same way. Right?
Yeah.
And if you go back and you watch that Utah game, Karl Malone gave me 42 stitches in the head. You know, I came back and played in that.
Mm-hmm.
That same game, Zeke?
Same game after I got stitched up, because that mentality that you're talking about that we had to grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
After they stitched me up, they tried to, like, you know, send me to the no. I'm going back in the game. I went back in the game, and do you know the first play rolled to the back?
Like, do it again.
That's how crazy I am.
See, that goes back to, that's that West Side mentality. That's right. Where that comes from.
Well, Zeke, look, Cabrini Green up north, they had some players up there too. Did you ever get up there and play against some guys?
So my brother Gege, right? You know, and Star Child, his son Star, you know, who, you know, I rest his soul.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, he messed around in Cabrini Green a lot. And so when we went to Cabrini Green, so it was Cabrini Green and what's the other project they tore down right off of Wood Street?
Henry Horner's?
Henry Horner's, right?
Mm.
So Henry Horner, Cabrini Green, whenever we would go there to play, right? Not only, you know, did you have to go to play, but this is how crazy our mentality was, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to go to play knowing, think about this, knowing that you're gonna have to fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At some point.
It's like they go together, right? Like, it's like,
yeah.
So if you had any sense, you would say, well, we don't need to go over there and play, right?
right.
Keyword, if you had any sense, you'd be like, well, we don't need to go over there. But the way we was thinking was like, well, I heard they got this dude over there who really play, man, and we need to go see who he is. We need to go find out, right?
Right.
And understanding that when you go find out, that mean that you gonna fight before the game or after the game.
After the game.
But you just ain't gonna walk away from Henry Horner or Cabrini Green
with a W
or a loss without a fight.
Or a loss.
You're gonna have to fight. So in Henry Horner, like right there, like again on Wood Street, I remember we used to have to get picked up there because we would have to go out to New Trier to wash their bathroom and clean school. And that was part of, you know, our hustle. Like my mom, we would get on that bus early Saturday morning. We would get a quarter for cleaning up, and then they would give us donuts and some chocolate milk.
Wow.
Wait a minute. And if you got like 6 donuts.
You say, see, you got 6 of them.
I got 6 donuts. Hey, man. Hey, I'm cleaning this school all day long, right? But that was our hustle, you know. And
wow,
Shine Shoes in Forest Park. So they had this park right off the lake, right off Lake Street, and they had this tavern there called Setback North in Forest Park. At that time, no brothers out there, no brothers
at all,
sisters out there, and they always had real net.
You say real nets,
like real net, like the we played on, right? It wasn't no nets, right?
It wasn't no nets.
It was just bing, you know. And the darker it got, you would always remember the fight you would always get into? Oh, that went in. No, man, that was an air ball. That didn't hit.
Right.
Because it was nets, right?
Agee and I want to do this thing with you really quick called halftime. And after that, we're going to come right back, man, because there's some deep questions that we really want to get into you about, just about your legacy, the history. But halftime, man, what we do is we're going to hit you with some quick hitters.
All right.
And we want to see what you're going to say.
Yeah.
First one is 3 toughest guys you ever had to guard in the NBA.
Magic Johnson, Michael Ray Richardson, and third one.
Don't you say Steve Coulter. Remember what you said about Steve Coulter? he would do this crazy move.
Yeah, but I may have to say Steve Coulter. Yeah, Steve Coulter, man, used to kill me with the crooked leg.
With the crooked leg, he called it. Okay. Your toughest, the three toughest players you played against in college.
Three toughest players I played against in college. Jimmy Black, North Carolina. You talking about the guards, right? Or just
Yep, guards.
Okay. Jimmy Black, North Carolina. John Paxson, Notre Dame. And I'm gonna have to throw this dude's name in there.
Who that?
Reno Gray from Illinois. I know y'all don't know him, but he was a
Reno who?
Reno Gray. He was like my Steve Coulter. Like every time Reno Gray saw me, man, you can just mark down 24 points. He only averaged 6 a game.
Damn.
Reno only averaged 6 a game. But whenever he saw Isiah Thomas, you just write it down. He's going to get 24 on me.
Oh.
Reno Gray, man.
I love it. You always got that one guy, man.
I got him too. It's just this one guy. It's like you just can't figure him out. And he don't play like that against nobody else.
Wow.
Hitting everything. They don't miss. Just hitting everything. And my next question for you, playing, coaching, broadcasting. What skill did you learn from each of those that helped you in your business career now?
So playing, definitely working together as a team, committing to a goal, and then everybody playing their role. And so when you talk about, managing and, that's business. Coaching, I would say now can you articulate your plan and can you inspire others to do it? Right? So in business, you can't be everywhere, but everybody's got to be on the same page. They got the same message. They got to be singing the same tune. So, that's what the coach does in terms of giving you the game plan. And what was the other one?
Broadcasting.
Being able to be succinct when you need to, being able to, explain something and talk about it in 20 seconds, understand the use of time and being able to get your message across.
This is mine, Zeke. Which three players today remind you the most of you at your prime?
Remind me of me or who I would like to be.
No. The three players today who remind you of you most when you were in your prime.
So I would say Kyrie Irving, definitely. If I had a chance to play with that type of freedom in the NBA, like being able to do the stuff. But so Kyrie, I would say I wouldn't say I could shoot like Steph, but I would be able to score like Steph.
Oh yeah,
right. So basketball, but not being able to, shoot it as good and as pretty as him. So Kyrie, Steph, and then I would be going to the hole like John Moran. I wouldn't be dunking. I didn't have a vertical like him, but I'd be in the cup all the time. Like just layup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm really about to take you back because I remember seeing this video of Isiah singing this song, Heaven Must Be Like This. So since you love music, 5 songs is playing in Isiah's track list. What's your playlist looking like these days?
Today?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh. See, I still got some old school in me,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start off with some Maze, with some Happy Feeling, and then kind of crazy, but Kanye, Jesus Walk. I love it when he say, "My record won't get played, huh?" I still got old school. Still, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You
ain't got no spinners in there. You ain't got no spinners and no Temptations.
I got I got some spinners. I got a couple of spinners in there. I got a couple of Temptation. My favorite Temptation song, and people and people gotta listen to this. And you two will understand it when I really sing. When the Temptation sing about Cloud 9, ooh, man, you got to listen to those lyrics. You know, when they hit childhood part of my life wasn't very pretty. I was born and raised in the slums of the city. From the section of children beside me, I hardly had enough food or room to sleep. It was hard times. I needed to ease my troubled mind.
Wow.
Wow, man. So
That's the soundtrack to your life.
yeah, it really is. It really.
Now, Zeke, I heard this too. The Shot Lights grew up on the west side of Chicago?
Shot Lights on the west side of Chicago, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So
Wow.
Earth, Wind, and Fire was dropping such knowledge, man. Such knowledge. When you go back and you listen to and I'm fortunate enough now that Verdine White and I are like, pretty good friends. And I say that like not bragging, but like, damn, I'm like talking to Verdine White. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I let them know just how important their music was to us in Chicago during that period of time. And the messages that they were sending about spirituality, about when you listen to you're a star, beat is good, but the science of in the shining star is like,
yeah,
I mean, you're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see.
Yep.
Shining star. That, and then when you realize that we all have stardust inside of us, universe, and we connected to the grid. And when you look at, all of their album covers, with the pyramid, letting us know who we are, nationality, birthright, all that. I mean, so the west side of Chicago, man, when you talk about the west side and the knowledge, dropping, when you talk about the Shy Light, Johnny Taylor, the Temptation, all them was grooving, hitting, and moving on the west side as well as the south side.
Because that's when Don Cornelius had the Soul Train downtown, right? And at the WGN building.
Yep. Soul Train, WGN, and then when you talk about John Baptiste, right, who discovered, well, not discovered, but who's credited with founding Chicago. One of the, founders of Chicago, right there where the Chicago River is at. Tribune building, all that. That's where he built his first home. I'm shining shoes now. You're talking about Soul Train, you're talking about WGN, and now I'm thinking, okay, this is a good hustle, man. I'm standing on Holman and Jackson. When you stand on Holman and Jackson, you see them big towers.
Yeah.
I had been downtown. I had been shining shoes out in Forest Park. You hop the train, you wait for the train to come, right? And you got just right? So you hop over, you run down the little, you jump in, and the conductor, like, look at you like, yeah, man.
Right.
So I'm going out to Forest Park. So now I'm trying to go downtown to Shine Street. Man, do you know they kicked me off Michigan Avenue so fast? And if you ain't from the west side of Chicago, you don't understand. Like, I never was able to go downtown until I got NBA, until I was 19 years old, coming back to play against the Chicago Bulls. That was my first time being on Rush Street.
Damn.
The only time I went down there was when I was trying to shine some shoes. And when I was trying to shine some shoes, now I'm thinking about the history, Black Chicago, you got Soul Train, you got all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I can get a hit down here, right?
Right.
I'll pop my rag, I'm ready. Then I with my little shine box, police came and escorted right off.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Wow.
when people talk about, you know, Chicago, that's why, again, I always say I'm from the West Side, and I let it be known where I'm from, right? Because
Yeah.
that Chicago that the media and everybody want to write about,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Chicago until I got into the NBA and
Wow.
Gibson's, and they let me hang out at the tavern. They let me, walk around.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was trying to shine shoes down there,
Wouldn't let you hustle.
no, partner, no.
Hey, Agee, you know Zeke from Chicago. He been throwing out all them Chicago terms. He like partner.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on this one. You know it's gonna show up. At one point, he gonna call one of us Joe. You know it's gonna.
Yeah, right.
It's like, again, y'all from Chicago, so y'all know.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pockets macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffar, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah.